I never thought it would happen to me. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the complete destruction of trust in someone I was ready to spend the rest of my life with. But here I am, telling my story as a warning to others who might be blinded by love like I was. My name is Jason, and just 3 weeks ago I was supposed to marry Vanessa, my girlfriend of 5 years. We met in college, fell in love quickly, and had what I thought was the perfect relationship. She was beautiful, smart, ambitious, and I believed loyal. I proposed last year on a trip to Italy, and she said yes without hesitation. Everything was going according to plan: venue booked, invitations sent, honeymoon arranged. I was on top of the world, counting down the days until I could call her my wife. Vanessa worked at a prestigious marketing firm downtown. She had started as an intern and worked her way up to become one of the senior account managers. I was incredibly proud of her dedication and success. Her boss, Robert, was a man in his early 40s, divorced and known for his charm and business acumen. Vanessa often spoke about how much she learned from him and how he was helping advance her career. I never suspected anything inappropriate between them. In fact, I had met Robert several times at company events and thought he was a decent guy. He was always respectful, shook my hand firmly, and spoke highly of Vanessa's work. I even felt grateful to him for mentoring her. As our wedding date approached, Vanessa began working late more frequently. She explained that a big client was demanding extra attention, and she needed to show her commitment if she wanted to secure a promotion after we returned from our honeymoon. It made sense, and I supported her ambition completely. I took on most of the remaining wedding preparations so she could focus on work. The first sign that something wasn't right came when I received a text message that wasn't meant for me. Vanessa and I had always used each other's phones freely. We had nothing to hide. One evening, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed with a message. Thinking it might be important wedding-related information, I glanced at it. The text was from Robert. "Can't wait to feel you against me again tomorrow. Our usual room is booked." I stared at the message, reading it over and over, trying to make sense of it. Maybe there was an innocent explanation. Maybe it was sent to the wrong person. My mind raced with possibilities, but my gut knew exactly what it meant. I should have confronted her immediately, but something held me back. Perhaps it was fear of what I'd discover, or maybe I needed more evidence before making accusations about her boss. Either way, I decided to investigate further. The next day, I called in sick to work, something I rarely did. I told Vanessa I had a bad stomach bug and would be resting at home. She kissed me goodbye, said she hoped I'd feel better, and left for work as usual. As soon as she was gone, I began my investigation. I checked our shared computer first. Vanessa often forgot to log out of her accounts. I found nothing unusual in her emails, but then I noticed a hotel reservation confirmation in the trash folder. The Westlake Hotel, a luxury establishment downtown, had a room booked for tomorrow under Robert's name. Next, I looked at our phone bill online. Over the past 3 months, there were hundreds of text messages between Vanessa and Robert outside of work hours, including late at night and early in the morning. There were also numerous calls, some lasting over an hour, often when she had told me she was working late. My heart sank with each new piece of evidence I uncovered. But I needed to be absolutely certain to see with my own eyes what was happening. I decided to follow her the next day when she was supposedly meeting with that important client. I borrowed my friend Mike's car so she wouldn't recognize me and waited outside her office building. At around 11:30 a.m., I saw Vanessa exit the building looking gorgeous in her business attire. She got into her car and drove away. I followed at a safe distance, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. She drove directly to the Westlake Hotel. I watched as she valeted her car and walked confidently into the lobby. 10 minutes later, Robert arrived. He looked around cautiously before entering the same hotel. I sat in the car for nearly an hour feeling numb. There was no client meeting, no work emergency, just my fiancée and her boss in a hotel room 3 weeks before our wedding. Instead of storming into the hotel and causing a scene, I drove home. I needed time to think, to decide how to confront this situation. I felt sick to my stomach, but also strangely calm, as if part of me had always suspected this might happen. When Vanessa returned home that evening, she acted completely normal. She asked how I was feeling, told me about her client meeting, and then started discussing wedding details as if nothing was amiss. I played along, nodding and responding appropriately while my mind screamed at her deception. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake watching her peaceful face as she slept beside me, wondering how she could betray me so completely and still sleep so soundly. By morning, I had made my decision. Instead of confronting her immediately, I decided to continue my investigation. This wasn't just about one indiscretion. I needed to know the full extent of her betrayal. Over the next few days, I discovered that her affair with Robert had been going on for nearly 8 months. They had taken a business trip together to New York that was actually a romantic getaway. She had been with him the night of my birthday when she claimed to be stuck at the office. The evidence was overwhelming and devastating. 2 weeks before the wedding, I decided it was time to confront her, but fate had other plans. I was at our apartment, boxing up some of her things while she was at work when her best friend Melissa called me. Melissa had been Vanessa's friend since high school and was going to be her maid of honor. I had always liked Melissa. She was straightforward and kind. "Jason, are you busy right now?" "I need to talk to you about something important," she said, her voice serious. "I'm just at home. What's up?" I replied, curious about her tone. "I'm coming over. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Don't tell Vanessa I called." When Melissa arrived, her expression was grim. She sat down on our couch and looked me directly in the eyes. "Jason, there's something you need to know before you marry Vanessa. I've been struggling with whether to tell you, but I can't let you go through with this wedding without knowing the truth." My heart pounded as Melissa confirmed everything I had already discovered and more. Vanessa had confided in her about the affair with Robert, even bragging about how exciting it was. But what shocked me most was that Vanessa had no intention of ending it after our wedding. She had told Melissa that Robert was her true passion, but that I was the sensible choice for stability and starting a family. She said Robert understands her career ambitions in a way you never could, but you'd make a better father and husband on paper, Melissa explained, looking disgusted. I told her she needed to either end things with Robert or break off the engagement with you. She laughed and said, "Why choose when I can have both?" Melissa then pulled out her phone and showed me text messages from Vanessa, confirming everything she had just told me. In one particularly cruel exchange, Vanessa had written, "Jason has no idea. He's so trusting it's almost too easy. Robert and I are meeting again tomorrow. Had to buy new lingerie for the occasion." I thanked Melissa for her honesty. She apologized for not coming forward sooner and said she had been hoping Vanessa would come to her senses. Before leaving, she hugged me and said, "You deserve better, Jason." "Much better?" After Melissa left, I sat in our apartment surrounded by wedding gifts and preparations, feeling a strange sense of clarity. I wasn't just angry or heartbroken, I was resolute. I deserved better than a lifetime of lies and betrayal. I spent the rest of the day making arrangements. I called my best man and explained the situation. I contacted key family members who needed to know immediately. I spoke with the venue and other vendors to understand my options. By the time Vanessa came home that evening, I had a plan. She walked in wearing a smile that quickly faded when she saw my expression. "What's wrong?" she asked, setting down her purse. "How long have you been sleeping with Robert?" I asked calmly. Her face went pale, but she recovered quickly. "What are you talking about? Robert is my boss." "That's a ridiculous accusation." "Don't lie to me, Vanessa. I know everything. The hotel meetings, the fake business trip to New York, the text messages, the late-night calls. I even know about your conversation with Melissa, how you think I'd make a good husband on paper while Robert is your true passion." She stood frozen for a moment, then her eyes filled with tears. "Jason, I can explain. It's not what you think." "Really? So you haven't been sleeping with your boss for the past 8 months. You didn't meet him at the Westlake Hotel this week. You didn't buy new lingerie specifically for him." As I laid out the evidence piece by piece, Vanessa's denials turned to pleas. She fell to her knees, grabbing my hands, begging for forgiveness. She claimed it was just physical, that it meant nothing, that she truly loved me and wanted to marry me. "It was a mistake, a terrible mistake," she sobbed. "I'll end it with him right now, I promise. We can still get married, still have the life we planned. Please, Jason, I love you." I gently removed my hands from hers and took a step back. The wedding is off, Vanessa. I've already contacted my family and the venue. I'll be telling everyone else tomorrow. No, she screamed, her face contorted with panic. You can't do that. Everything is paid for. Everyone is coming. My parents have spent so much money. We can work through this. Go to counseling? I've made my decision, I said firmly. I'm staying with Mike tonight. I'll come back tomorrow to get more of my things. You have until the end of the month to find somewhere else to live since the apartment is in my name. As I walked toward the door with my overnight bag, Vanessa's pleas turned to anger. You can't just throw away 5 years over one mistake. Who do you think you are? You'll never find anyone else like me? I paused at the door and looked back at her. That's what I'm counting on. The next few days were a blur of painful conversations and logistical nightmares. Canceling a wedding 3 weeks before the date is no small task. Some vendors refused refunds, relatives who had booked flights were upset, and Vanessa's parents were livid. Vanessa switched between begging for another chance and threatening me with everything from suicide to legal action. She showed up at my workplace, sent hundreds of text messages, and even enlisted mutual friends to try to convince me to reconsider. But the most surprising reaction came from Robert. 3 days after our confrontation, I received an email from him. Jason, I understand you've learned about my relationship with Vanessa. While I won't insult you with excuses or apologies that would mean nothing, I want you to know that Vanessa gave me the impression that your relationship was essentially over, and the wedding was happening only because it was too late to cancel. I now realize this was a lie. What I did was wrong regardless, and I accept full responsibility for my part in this betrayal. As of yesterday, I have reassigned Vanessa to a different department and will have no further personal contact with her. Nothing I can say will undo the damage I've caused, but I wanted you to know that I was deceived about the nature of your relationship as well, not that it justifies anything. Robert, I didn't respond to his email. I didn't need to. The truth was out, and each person involved would have to live with the consequences of their actions. As news of the canceled wedding spread, I was surprised by the outpouring of support I received. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years reached out to check on me. Colleagues brought coffee and listened patiently as I processed my feelings. Even Vanessa's cousin called to tell me I had made the right decision and that the family had suspected Vanessa was unfaithful for some time. Vanessa didn't take the breakup well. According to mutual friends, she was fired from her job after making a scene at the office when she learned of her reassignment. She moved back in with her parents and deleted all her social media accounts. Her mother called me once, not to berate me as I expected, but to apologize for her daughter's behavior and ask if there was any chance of reconciliation. I politely but firmly told her there wasn't. 2 weeks after what would have been our wedding day, I received a handwritten letter from Vanessa. Jason, I know words are meaningless after what I've done, but I need you to know how deeply I regret my actions. I destroyed the best thing in my life for something shallow and meaningless. The excitement and attention from Robert blinded me to what truly matters. Since you left, I've started therapy to understand why I would sabotage my own happiness. The therapist suggested I might have a fear of true intimacy, that I created this situation to avoid the vulnerability that comes with real commitment. I'm not telling you this to win you back. I know that's impossible now. I'm telling you because I want you to know that I recognize the magnitude of my betrayal. You deserved so much better than what I gave you. I hope someday you can find it in your heart to forgive me, not for my sake but for yours. And I hope you find someone worthy of the love you have to give. Forever sorry, Vanessa. I read the letter once, then put it away in a drawer. Perhaps someday I would feel ready to forgive her, but that day wasn't today. In the months that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life. I sold the apartment that held too many painful memories and bought a smaller place closer to my work. I joined a hiking group and started spending more weekends outdoors, something Vanessa had always disliked. I reconnected with old friends and made new ones. The pain didn't disappear overnight. There were still moments when I would see something that reminded me of Vanessa or wake up reaching for someone who wasn't there. But those moments became less frequent as time passed. 6 months after the canceled wedding, I ran into Melissa at a local coffee shop. We chatted for a while, catching up on each other's lives. She had started her own business and was doing well. As we were saying goodbye, she hesitated, then asked if I'd like to get dinner sometime. Just as friends, she clarified quickly. I just always enjoyed talking with you, and not many people understand what it was like being in the middle of everything that happened. I agreed, and our friendly dinner turned into weekly meetups. Melissa was easy to talk to, honest, and made me laugh in a way I hadn't in a long time. She never pushed for more than friendship, respecting the healing I still needed to do. A year after my relationship with Vanessa ended, I heard she had moved to another state for a fresh start. I wished her well in my heart, not out of romantic feelings, but because holding on to anger would only hurt me in the long run. As for me, I eventually found myself ready to date again. Melissa and I had developed a genuine friendship, and when I finally asked if she'd like to try being more than friends, she admitted she had been hoping I would ask for months but wanted to give me the time I needed. Our relationship progressed naturally, built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. There were no games, no lies, no betrayals, just two people who enjoyed each other's company and valued honesty above all else. Looking back on everything that happened, I sometimes wonder if I should thank Vanessa and Robert. Their betrayal was painful beyond words, but it freed me from a marriage that would have been built on deception. It taught me to trust my instincts, to demand respect in relationships, and to recognize the difference between someone who truly loves you and someone who simply says they do. If you're reading this and facing a similar situation, know that the pain does eventually subside. The embarrassment of canceling a wedding is nothing compared to the misery of a marriage founded on lies. It takes courage to walk away, but on the other side of that decision is the possibility of genuine happiness. I won't pretend I'm glad it happened. The betrayal still stings when I think about it too deeply. But I am grateful for where it led me, to a better understanding of myself, to healthier relationships, and to the knowledge that sometimes losing what you thought you wanted opens the door to what you truly need. Today, 2 years after the wedding that never was, I'm happier than I ever imagined possible. Melissa and I are building a life together based on honesty, respect, and genuine love. And while I would never wish the pain of betrayal on anyone, I can say with certainty that, for me, it was the beginning of a much better story than the one I had originally planned. So if you're standing at that crossroads, discovering a betrayal and wondering if you should still go through with your plans because of the money spent, the invitations sent, or the expectations of others, let me be clear, you deserve better. And better does exist, even if you can't see it yet. The day I walked away from Vanessa was the day I started walking toward the life I was meant to have. It wasn't easy and it wasn't painless, but it was absolutely worth it. Trust your gut, demand honesty, and never settle for someone who makes you their second choice. Your future self will thank you.